Did you know in the Justice League, there's a reference made to a Marvel character? While there hasn't been a Marvel and DC crossover in years, the DC movie had a small nod to a well-known Marvel character. After Superman is resurrected, he turns on the Justice League, resulting in an epic battle by a large memorial. One of the names that can be seen on the memorial is Ben Parker, who is of course the uncle of Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man. While it may not be teasing a potential crossover, it was a small Easter egg that comic book fans would get a kick out of. Did you know in Justice League, the original Jimmy Olsen actor has a cameo? We haven't seen much of Jimmy Olsen in the DCEU other than a very brief appearance as a photographer before his death in Batman v Superman. After Superman is resurrected and heads to the memorial, we can see that an alternate vision of Jimmy Olsen as the actor who plays one of the police officers is Mark McClure. McClure is the actor who played Jimmy Olsen in Richard Donner's Superman movies back in the 70s. Did you know in Transformers, a nod to the original comics was made? Most of the characters in Transformers in the franchise received a bit of an upgrade from their cartoon and comic book version, most notably Bumblebee. While Sam is choosing his first car, we can see that Bumblebee has taken the form of a '77 Chevrolet Camaro. Those who were introduced to the Transformers in the 2007 film would have missed that next to Bumblebee is a yellow Volkswagen Beetle, which was the original form he took in the animations and toy line. Did you know in Ant-Man, a cameo is made by the first ever Ant-Man? When we see Scott Lang practicing using his shrinking suit and getting chased down by a rat before falling and landing on top of a car, the driver of the car is played by Garrett Morris, who was the first ever person to portray Ant-Man on screen. However, it wasn't in a Marvel project. In 1978, Saturday Night Live did a sketch called Superhero Party, which featured Morris as Ant-Man, and the director of the movie was such a fan of the sketch that he asked whether Morris would be willing to make a cameo, which he obviously said yes to. Did you know in Terminator Genisys, Sarah Connor ends up getting the same cuts on her shoulder that she would have gotten in Terminator 2 Judgment Day if the timeline hadn't been messed up? In T2, Sarah gets a cut on her back from the T-1000, and at the end, it pierces her shoulder from the front. In Genisys, she gets a cut on her back from when she's hit by a car after traveling to 2017, and the T-3000 pierces her shoulder. This just adds to the point that some things are unavoidable in history. Did you know in Batman, the original draft of the script had Jack Napier placed at the age of 32. This would have meant that the Joker would be much younger than they ended up going, but after rewrites were done with the casting of Jack Nicholson, they decided to make him a middle-aged man. The revelation of Jack killing the Waynes was a last-second addition by Burton and Scarron to try and raise the stakes between Batman and the Joker. Did you know in Pulp Fiction, board games were placed in this scene for comedic effect? After a night out dancing, we see Uma Thurman's Mia Wallace suffer an overdose on heroin, which leads Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, having to save her by plunging a needle into her chest. Given that the scene was so tense and the focus was on whether Mia would survive or not, it was easy to miss that in the background they were playing two aptly placed board games, Life and Operation, which was a little bit of a twisted joke given the events in the scene. Did you know in Elf, Will Ferrell caused traffic accidents when shooting the movie? While making his way to the Big Apple, Buddy can be seen nervously making a walk through the Lincoln Tunnel with cars and buses passing by him. This scene was actually shot in the tunnel, and given that people didn't realize a film was being made, drivers were so surprised and distracted by seeing Will Ferrell dressed up in this bright festive elf costume that several minor traffic accidents occurred. Thankfully, no one was hurt though. Did you know in Hellboy, the final post-credit scene references the Hellboy comics directly? In it, Baba Yaga orders an unknown person to go after Hellboy, and we find out that it's Koschei, otherwise known as the Deathless. Baba Yaga states that she would grant him his greatest wish, which is to die. Koschei was actually introduced in a story arc called Darkness Calls, and part of the plot in the comics involves Baba Yaga seeking revenge on Hellboy and taking his eye. If you like this, subscribe for more. Did you know in The Walking Dead, we get a look at the new and improved walkers? Over its 11-season run, we've seen a lot of changes come to the walkers on The Walking Dead, but not quite on the scale of the recent episodes in Season 11. We don't know if they're a mutation or evolution, but the variant walkers have proven to be even more terrifying than the ones we've known in other seasons. Not only do they have a heightened sense of smell and are more alert, they can also climb walls. It'll be interesting to see how this plays into the show's final episodes. Did you know in The Office, the paper copier can later be seen padlocked at the Utica branch? After war breaks out between the two branches, Michael attempts to get revenge on Karen at the Utica branch. He miserably fails at attempting to steal the branch's industrial copier and ends up getting chastised by Karen. Later in Season 5, during the lecture circuit, we can see that Utica has actually padlocked their industrial copier, just in case anyone tried to pull a Michael Scott and attempted to steal it. Did you know in the Last of Us trailer, the song choice has a significant link to the game? As soon as the trailer starts, we hear that the song of choice is Alone and Forsaken by Hank Williams. This has many of the game players hopeful that the show will remain faithful to its counterpart, as the song was featured as a title for a subchapter in the game. The chapter of the game features Joel and Ellie as they get ambushed by hunters, and while we don't know if we'll see that in the show, it's good to know that nods to the game are being made already. Did you know in The Boys? Stormfront's name has a disturbing origin. One of the best additions to Season 2 of The Boys was the Stormfront, an extremely powerful soup that becomes the members of the Seven. Not only is she very powerful, but she's revealed to be twisted and evil, and is actually a fully blown Nazi. Her villainous identity wasn't as well hidden as we may have thought, because the idea for her name was taken from an infamous online message board for neo-Nazis of the same name. Did you know in The Boys? Simon Pegg was cast as a nod to the comic book origins. Before becoming one of Amazon's most watched series, The Boys was a series of comics written by Garth Ennis. Simon Pegg was cast as Huey's father, and that holds a key connection to the comics. When designing the character of Huey, Ennis based his appearance off of Simon Pegg. Although when the time came for the show to be made, they deemed Pegg too old to have any main role, but they still cast him as a nod to the show's origins. Did you know in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, a car license plate number pays tribute to Chadwick Boseman? As everyone knows, Chadwick Boseman, who played Black Panther in the first movie, tragically passed away back in August of 2020 after a battle with colon cancer. Not only is the entire sequel a fitting tribute to the late actor, but it also features some small references to his life, one of which being a car license plate number. The plate reads CB112976, which stands for Chadwick Boseman, November 29th, 1976, the actor's birthday. Did you know in Friends, this hidden detail could explain their Central Perk seating arrangements? Obviously, for the sake of the show, the Friends always had the best seat in the Central Perk coffee shop, the main couch to face the camera. But there could be a realistic explanation. On the table, you can almost always see a reserved sign, which could have been placed there by Gunther, and would explain why no matter what time of day it was, they always had that couch saved for them. Did you know in Hawkeye, they kept up a running gag that originated in The Avengers? Back in 2012, we were given the first installment of The Avengers, an action-packed movie filled with comedic quips, one of which was from Tony Stark, who referred to Hawkeye as Legolas, another famous archer from the Lord of the Rings movies. In the series, the joke continues when Kate mistakes a street performer dressed as Katniss Everdeen from The Hunger Games to be none other than Hawkeye. Did you know in the Cloverfield paradox? Many fans believe that the Cloverfield monster at the end of the film was the same one from the original Cloverfield, but this is not true. The original monster is estimated to be about 180 feet tall, and it has a leaner body shape. This monster stands taller than the clouds over the water, and it's assumed that a large portion of its body is still underwater. While this could be a similar subspecies, it's intended in the original Cloverfield that monster is only a baby. The monster isn't the only thing that ties the film to the original film, though. The name Tagruato can be seen throughout the space station, and this is the company where we see viral marketing campaigns of the first two films. Did you know in the Last of Us trailer, we get the first look at the live-action version of a clicker? Anyone who's played the game knows that clickers are those that were infected with the cordyceps virus for either a year or more, with the prolonged exposure to fungus leaving them blind. Much like bats, they use echolocation by clicking, so making little sound around them is crucial. They look equally as terrifying in the trailer as they were in the game, thanks to makeup and costumes for practical effect. So it will be interesting to see how much more accurate they get in the show from the game. Did you know in The Walking Dead, the governor is positioned to look like a pirate in one scene? After Michonne stabbed out the governor's eye, he began to wear his trademark eye patch and became the serious, cold-blooded villain of the show. However, the director of one Season 4 episode decided to poke fun at the pirate attire. After being rescued by Tara, the governor can be seen waking up from a nap, and the positioning of the pillow behind his head makes it look as though he has a parrot perched on his shoulder.